continue with the topic of providing concrete evidence for metaphysical creatures, we must first scientifically explain the characteristics of metaphysical creatures.
Scientists report that aliens, meaning jinn, live in the fourth dimension. We will present more evidence about this in the future, but just to touch upon it briefly, we can mention how it also stated in the Quran that the jinn were created from pure fire. Photons in the fire are subatomic particles. In other words, fire, which is the building block of jinn, is a fourth-dimensional substance. All the evidence confirm that jinn are composed of subatomic particles on their own. It has been scientifically proven today that the ratio of the atom, which is the building block of everything in the universe, and its nucleus is like a marble on a football field. If we accept the atomic nucleus as a marble, the other tiny substances in the atom, the electrons, revolves around the core at the distance of a football field. In other words, more than 99.9% of everything we see as matter consists of the void. Without these gaps in the world would be almost a marble. This is how fourth-dimensional creatures made up of subatomic parts are also. Since they do not have an atomic structure, they are not visible to our eyes because they are made up of subatomic particles. But in fact, they are the same as humans in mass, and when they pass into our dimensions, they may assume an atomic shape and maybe even have a biological body. Since we are made up of voids, we are in large and visible state. And because they don't have voids, they are in the upper dimension and out of sight. Scientists have already stated that a being that can be in the fourth dimension can see our dimension from a different angle, but we cannot see that being. It is also scientifically declared that subatomic substances in the fourth dimension can pass through solid objects, just as sunlight passes through glass. According to scientists, the only reason why we humans, full of voids, cannot pass through a wall full of cavities in the gravitational force created by the electrons orbiting the atoms. Without this gravitational force, objects consisting of empty atoms would be able to pass through other empty atoms. In other words, if the subatomic particles that make up us were not in an atomic form, we would have fourth-dimensional properties. For example, we would be able to pass through a wall.
To sum up, the other dimensions came to existence by the vibrations of strings, which are the smallest building elements of matter. We can only see three-dimensional, because we cannot feel or see the vibrations of these strings in different places. We are unable to comprehend other dimensions. Yet, some beings, as small as subatomic particles, can experience, benefit, and affect these additional dimensions. The fact that the existence of other dimensions and that the jinns are in that different dimension is told in the Holy Quran by these words as follows. These jinns, they see you from a different place.
Again, scientists on this subject have said that there may be a being that can live in the fourth dimension and that his characteristics will resemble the beings we call spirit or jinn. Author John A. Kell, who has done research on aliens for many years, also realized towards the end of his life that aliens are actually beings living in the fourth dimension. These fourth-dimensional creatures can move to the third dimension where necessary conditions are met. Because as we said, jinn and humans are made up the same subatomic particles, but only we are in the atomic form, not jinn. In other words, when jinn go to the third dimension and transform into atomic form, they can have a body made of flesh and blood like us, and it has already been scientifically accepted. As you will see in this and other episodes, that beings in the upper dimensions can pass into the lower dimensions. Again, remember that the higher dimensional angels in the all holy books took the form of human beings when talking to the prophets. Now, you don't need to be afraid of the videos we will show as concrete evidence of these entities, because although it has been tried many times personally by many people, as stated in the teachings about the spirit and the descriptions of the heavenly religion, we will share many examples in this documentary series. To cause the metaphysical creatures or events to horror you, there must be magnetic deficits in your metaphysical field. In your aura, that is, your chakras must be imbalanced by forming brain chemicals, contrary to your nature with great evil, that is, the sins mentioned in religions. As you will see concrete examples in the future, if you do not give a magnetic deficit, four-dimensional beings cannot even approach you, let alone touching you. Remember the electromagnetic field around us shaped by human thought. which Dr. Burr called the L field. Recall that this electromagnetic field can be partially visualized by Kirlian, that is, the mention of aura photography. As we will discuss later on, people who commit great bad deeds and do not suffer are used as negative energy producers under the auspices of demons. Continuing our topic regarding the concrete evidence for metaphysical living beings, although there is no known scientific study on the existence of these beings. As you can see, and we'll see more in the future, many scientists have theoretically accepted the existence of these beings. In addition, volunteer paranormal researchers obtain abounding audio-visual evidence about fourth-dimensional creatures. There are people who experienced similar paranormal events all over the world, as well as people in specific regions who have collectively experienced the same paranormal event. For example, the real events described in the movie The Mothman Prophecies were witnessed by everyone living in the region. Again, in the police reports about the house in Madrid, Spain, where major paranormal events took place after a spell, it is written that the police remained incapable solving what had happened in this house. You can find a detailed analysis of these films that describe real paranormal events on our channel, as we will see in more detail later. It is a well-known phenomenon that the evil jinn, namely demons, disguise themselves as ghosts and spirits in order to deceive and manipulate people, giving images and messages in this way and making people believe in the reincarnation, etc. The person or people in these pictures you see are people who have died before and were not present when the photo was taken. In other words, there are ghosts as we have named them. Numerous paranormal events that cannot be explained by science until today have been reflected on the cameras. Not hundreds, maybe even thousands. There are so many photographs and video recordings that we cannot include all of them in this documentary. The theory of uncanny houses, in which paranormal events occur all over the world, has been told, and many paranormal events in these houses have been reflected in cameras and sound devices. Researchers who deal with these works with their special devices can determine whether these paranormal records are fake or real. These metaphysical events that affected many people were even reflected in documentary productions such as the History Channel. People all over the world report that they see something that scares them. Something pushed me from behind. They viewed the evidence to prove this with a camera. They took their photos or recorded their voice, the voices that are not clear where they came from. I can hear this. You can hear it too. However, we now have the technical details to properly analyze paranormal evidence. New advanced technology will finally give us the answers. Trying to communicate with those we love and those who have lost their lives is not new. In the 19th century, sessions by psychics became a popular method of trying to reach the dead. However, with the discovery of the camera, collecting concrete evidence about the paranormal has now become a science. Heads flying through the air in the first paranormal photos, fuzzy shapes, and even paranormal fluid-leaking mediums called ectoplasm could be seen. While most of the old ghost photographs are fake, there is still talk of these photographs taken in 1963 of the stairs of an English mansion. A witness of a paranormal event may in some cases simply say that he sensed the presence of a ghost, but in very rare cases the spirit is a foggy image in the human form and appears for a moment and then disappears. Many witnesses all over the world have seen mysterious beings that disappear suddenly and have non-human characteristics as described in the documentary. This metaphysical phenomenon is so widespread that it's being called the Poltergeist phenomenon worldwide. Most of us have somehow witnessed the existence of metaphysical creatures, maybe by a nightmare that we see while awake and that bothers us, perhaps in astral travel or otherwise. So many people have witnessed the existence of metaphysical creatures, perhaps half the world's population. In our country, there have been uncanny home incidents that amaze everyone. Psychic Salih Memishoğlu solved the case of a self-burning house. It burned 30 times in 1 month. Turkey watched in amazement that house where mysterious flames rose. I went to my nephew's mother-in-law and I saw the sofa bed was burning. The house of the stone couple burned 30 times in a month. Not only this house they lived in, but the sofa they were sitting in when they went to the guest house. Even the clock rooms where they hung their clothes were being burned. You have seen that it has not been burning for the past 2 months.
Why was this place burning?
Some say energy. I clearly say that it is a genie. In other words, when 4-5 crews of jinn come together at the same time. Electricity generates energy, and this fire comes out from that energy. The mysterious flames, which were also captured by Channel 7 cameras, are unbelievable. We were here 2 months ago and we witnessed the flames rising right behind this door. Balkis Hanım's sweater is on fire right now. The moment we were waiting outside, the sweater here started to catch fire. I don't predict it will come out again. It will happen or not anymore in 11 days. So, this is over now. This is the end. By the Allah's leave. 2 months have passed since then. As Memishoğlu claimed, there was no fire in the Stone family's house. Our house is not burning anymore. I'm not afraid at all. We were home. We were not going out somewhere. I am not afraid anymore while sleeping. Now, some people say, is it spoken with the jinn? 2 months ago, Salih Memishoğlu had done something with his hand in those corners. Once again, that this is home. Where objects move, metaphysicist Volkan Kemal Ergenekon solved the case.
Uncanny houses are one of the most common abnormal phenomena that parapsychologists encounter on Earth.
The mysterious beings which have caused these events are called jinn or boogie in Turkish and poltergeist in Western languages. On the other hand, when the uncanny home incidents recorded in different countries are examined one by one, it is seen that the most typical features of them are stone attacks. Perhaps the most terrifying of the haunted house events observed today within the borders of our country happened in Niğde in the past recent months. The events that broke out in the town of Edikli, which is connected to the beautiful city of the central Anatolia region, almost drove the members of a family to the edge of madness. Mysterious beings from other dimensions chose the large bead family from Edik as their target. I was sitting there, how did it hit the stone? My children became anxious and my arrivals did not come. I am 69 years old. Such a thing has not been heard once. I am 69 years old. Nobody believed this in the surrounding village. Recently, in these 3 or 4 days, he started throwing huge stones. If we were to collect it, there would be 2 sacks of stone. Now, my uncle, this deplorable situation you have experienced has happened to many of civilizations that have evolved for centuries. This is a well-known subject, and such events are still encountered today. I have a dedicated friend who works on parapsychology, and I know. Hello, how are you? While Ergenekon was going through this process, the citizens gathered around were watching him with interest. Ergenekon would explain why he did things the way he did when the operation was completely over. Sir, what kind of cleaning operation did you apply to this house, which is almost occupied and besieged by bodily beings? Can you tell us about that, please? Now, the method we followed has been employed for thousands of years. Now, sir, what kind of developments will happen from now on? After that, will the people of the house be comfortable? Yes. As a result of this, it is possible to create newer examples. Many paranormal regions and houses, such as the Dragon Triangle and the Bermuda Devil's Triangle, where countless eyewitnesses and countless recorded events that cannot be explained by the law of physics took place, are definitive evidence of the existence of metaphysics and metaphysical creatures, metaphysical events and living things. It has been reflected in countless real images and documentaries. Countless research and publications have been made, but most importantly, what happened in the past and those who shaped the present world are very closely related to the metaphysical world. In a summary, the metaphysical world and living things are real with undeniable evidence. Throughout this documentary, much more audio and visual evidence will be shared and be given as examples to being proofs of these beings. Now, we can move on to characteristics of metaphysical creatures and why and how they have tried to dominate the world and people throughout history. These creatures are namely jinn, also known as aliens and demons, who are a subcategory of jinn.